I would like to commence by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I work and live, and recognize their continuing connection to land, water, and community. I pay respect to the elders past, present, and emerging. As a young child, I was introduced to a deep appreciation of the arts through my studies of classical ballet, violin, and piano. I was fortunate enough to have a mother that was a patron of the arts, and I became inspired early on by a wide genre of music, such as opera, classical, blues, and jazz. I was impressed by a vast library of foreign film, and most things artistic or theatrical in nature. My mother was a sculptor, my father was a painter. I went on to dance with a number of companies. I threw myself into the fires of flamenco and into the beautiful discipline of Odissi dance. I became deeply immersed in beauty and sought experiences that fed my soul through creative expression. My experience of childhood and early adulthood was a life that became mystified and romanticized through the creative arts, something that transcended the monotony of an everyday reality and invited me into deeper communion with something bigger than myself. One could say this is where I first found God. I went on to study visual art and photography at college in Melbourne, where I explored both traditional and new media under the guidance of some of Australia's most respected practitioners and educators. While I developed practical skills and theoretical knowledge, challenging, communicating, and expressing my own and others' ideas, something was missing for me in the creative process. Perhaps I could put it down to a lack of maturity, confidence, and self-awareness at the tender age of 19, but perhaps it was something more. As I developed perceptual and conceptual understanding, critical reasoning, and understanding of my world and the world around me, there was something sacred that was lost under an education system where criteria had to be met, and my expression became less organic, less authentic. The art of creation had somehow lost its deeper essence for me. It wasn't until I delved into interior design in my later years that I really began to embody the marriage between design, creative process, and my own spirituality. I began to observe the correlation between the creative process itself and that of a spiral leading inwards. I began to walk the path with eyes and heart to a quiet place where loose ends come together in a container of essence and beauty, where boundaries between myself and the rest of the universe begin to soften. From without and within, there are no rules here. All roads lead back to the center, spanning across time and space. To painter David Headley, the spiral conjures the cycle of birth, life, and death, and that cycle is the preoccupation of religion and art. Designing sacred space for me has become theatrical in a sense, by weaving a rich tapestry of interactive experience through story, place, through a life well lived, through the appreciation of object d'art, dreaming, through culinary and musical appreciation, and ultimately the commitment to walk a path of service in artistic expression, sharing the creation of that as an offering. The creative process for me is an act of devotion, a living altar. It invites the participant to a taste of heaven on earth by creating a transcendence with a more beautiful reality. I believe in the power of creativity. I believe everything we have been through informs our thinking and our vision. Through my expression, I have come to understand in the process I'm the same person I always was decades ago. I made a decision to represent and serve beauty. Over the years, I have developed an understanding of where traditional art and Western art differ. Western arts and culture tend to separate things out in linear order, often focusing on self and separateness. Traditional art, on the other hand, focuses on creation, the seen, the unseen, and the manifestation of that. It acts as a conduit for spirit, knowledge, and cultural law. Across these cultures, we see mnemonic shields, devices, masks, carving, jewelry, and sacred art, all embedded with symbology. Sacred art acts as a two-legged expression of the land, bringing messages for our times, a bridge between the sacred above and the sacred below. It not only holds the wisdoms and the memory of heritage for the carrier, or the keepers of the law of the land, but it can also play a vital role in meeting our social, psychological, and cultural needs. Bila Loriti Kolka, founder of the Pacific Village Earth School, states, "Many of us don't know our culture of origin, where the guidance of elders and the passing of ancient wisdom as we grow into adulthood instructs us how to fulfill our destiny whilst living in harmony with the earth. As our earth-connected indigenous cultures have been interrupted all over the world, so has the natural abundance and beauty of our earth. The birthrights of being born into a unique nature-connected community, meeting all of its needs in deep relationship to nature, have been interrupted and mostly commodified. Bila teaches the 5 sacred pathways as the medicine we need to bring us home to our own remembering. Arts as medicine and ceremony and ritual are 2 of the 5 sacred pathways essential in the earth walk and this emerging culture of regeneration. We are seeing more and more eco-villages that are intentional, or traditional communities that aim to regenerate natural and social environments. The social, ecological, economic, and cultural dimensions of sustainability are integrated into a holistic, sustainable development model that is adapted to local contexts. Michael Tellinger, author of Ubuntu Contribution System, speaks of a vision that includes a society in which arts and culture flourish, allowing people to experience life to its fullest. A society in which spiritual growth of its people through the explosion of arts and culture will allow the rapid rise of consciousness to fully embrace the concepts of unity. In an age of intense individualism, arts and culture, the active participation in ceremony, rite of passage, storytelling, dancing, farming, and raising tribe, all creative expression in their own right, are offered as a way to protect the common good. These are the pathways to the future. We learn to be responsible within a community. We build a healthier community, bringing people together in a sacred way. The human power is in group consciousness, using art as a channel to speak. The ability to safely express ourselves, where all emotions have permission to be expressed without hurting each other, as a natural birthright. We live in troubled times. Western culture doesn't facilitate this open conduit of expression by way of life. So we see the rise of unhealthy expression, suppression, oppression, and the breakdown of creation systems, which manifest as rage, disconnect, riots, violence, mental and physical illness. The concept of disenchantment has become a common cultural currency with the modern emphasis on reason, denying the world of transcendence, mystery, and reverence. Secularism, capitalism, and new technologies offer little vision for divine inspiration, the sacred path, and its reflection of how we live our lives from a deeper place of spiritual power in the cosmos. There is a pattern to the universe and everything in it, and there are traditions and knowledge systems that follow this pattern to maintain balance. Just as a bird expresses itself through the colours of its feathers, we need to return to a way of life as art and art as life. The search for awe and wonder has become a quest to re-enchant the world, a mission linked with the slow living and rewilding movements, which aim to connect us more fully with ourselves, to each other, and the natural world with its timeless rhythms of birth, life, and death. In Native American tradition, there's a concept of walking in beauty. It's called Hozo Nasha in the Navajo Dinj tradition, and it means being in balance with the natural way of life. When we are in the right relationship with the natural world around us, with the divine, we are walking in beauty. The more you sense and see beauty around you, in your environment, yourself, and your body, the more it will fill your life in all forms. The beauty way is both a path that you travel on and daily practice. The path is where you choose to perceive only beauty before you, behind you, and all around you as you journey through life. The practice is where you take action to bring beauty to every situation you are in. When conflict arises, you act to bring integrity and peace to the difficult encounter. When everyone else perceives only darkness, you point out the light and help uncover the hidden treasures. The beauty way is to be aware and attuned to the essence of beauty, not to particular forms or superficial aesthetics. It's about being that state of awareness where you feel connected to everything around you, cultivating the skillful means of awareness, community, intention, spiritual practice, and ceremony. These nourish and support us as we walk this path together. Here are just some of the ways in which I search for my own awe and wonder, walking the beauty way. I write in my journal every day, recording my intentions, my thoughts, dreams, and inspirations. I walk in nature. I explore the magic of this beautiful island home I live in. I search out ocean, forests, lakes, gardens, parks. I go barefoot in the soil, feet on the ground. I like to stay connected. I walk in silence, just listening, looking, thinking, and dreaming. I look for beauty, the way the ocean moves across the shore, an unfurling flower, the intricate geometry that adorns a single leaf, the richness of colour on the palette of Mother Earth. I love to sleep under the stars and love to fall into the majesty of the setting sun over and over again. I take pleasure in keeping my home in order. I pick bunches of wildflowers and perfume flowers and put them on my tables. I burn sage, frankincense, and beautiful smelling candles. I surround myself with beauty always. I fill my life with art. I have a gallery of inspiration, paintings, books, postcards, and artifacts I have collected on my travels. All hold a very special meaning for me. I find quotes that speak to me. I pair them with beautiful art and share them for others to enjoy. Feathers, shells, tattered material, driftwood and tapestry find their way to my altars. I immerse myself in music every day, and I dance. I love to dance. Whenever I'm in a foreign city, I seek out art and artists and find myself lost between the walls of museums and galleries. I dedicate time daily to my sacred practice. I like to eat the freshest food that I have grown in my garden and prepare food as my medicine to be shared with those I love. I love rummaging through vintage shops and garage sales on the hunt for treasure. I do my best to reduce, reuse, and recycle. I consciously search for places and experiences that incite joy, wonder, and reverence in me. These words once said ring true for me. My cathedral is a wild garden, an ancient forest, or the vault of starry sky. I love to listen to birdsong and watch the wind as it moves through the leaves. I love the feeling of salt water and sunshine on my skin. I am reborn. I practice kindness. I choose to believe that everything and everyone is miraculous, everything is meaningful, and everything is enchanted. This is a beautiful planet. It calls us to take time to explore it in awe, wonder, and reverence. We have an ingrained faith in the earth, in the land, because we are of it. And we only need to look into the eyes of a beautiful child to connect to our innate wish to protect life. I believe we carry a natural tendency to care. We are happiest when we find a way to express it. The largest social movement in all of history is currently unfolding before our eyes, involving tens of millions of people dedicated to change. This is a movement without a leader, arising from the bottom up, neighbourhoods, communities and grassroots projects around the world, with each project or organisation formed around the particulars of place. At the heart of regenerative development is the belief that we must work from place. We are invited to regenerate ourselves